Hello everyone, my name is Ryan and I went undefeated with Yubel, so I'd like to share with you guys my deck profile. It's a different take on the strategy than what you're used to, so maybe keep an open mind. So first we run one Knightmare Corruptor Iblee. So this is a very interesting and spicy tech. So what happened to Yubel, right? That was what plagued my mind when I was playing this deck for so long, is this deck used to be the best of the best, but then Phantom got limited to 1, and the deck just disappeared overnight. In OCG, they lost Knightmare Throne, so that's a bit more understandable, but we still have 3 Throne, and all they hit was Phantom, so what happened to the deck? So I think the problem with the deck is that it plays really poorly into the Charmies, and the end board isn't good enough. The end board can be easily broken by Mitsurugi Ryzeal. They go X'd and they go Mitsurugi Ritual, and they can blow up your board and they can negate Varudras, and you're kind of screwed from there, right? So this is our way to keep the Yubel combo FDK alive. I will show you the combo. This is extremely easy to make and extremely easy to put on your opponent's side of the field. And on the off chance you draw it, if you draw with Fiendsmith, you can just normal summon it and make sequence, and then go full combo and give them the Iblee, and then you're insulated from Nib and Imperm when you summon the sequence. Or you can summon it out with Gigantic. This fixes the end board problem. It does play a little into Maliss, and I'll talk a bit about that matchup later. Next we play 2 Dark Beckoning Beast and 3 Opening the Spirit Gate. This ratio is really strange, but let me explain. So with Imperm running around and the Charmies running around, essentially they're always going to have an Imperm, in my opinion. The way you play around Imperm is with opening the Spirit Gates, because with opening the Spirit Gates and Almirage, as you'll see, I run Almirage in my extra deck, you're able to, even if they Imperm, you can just discard a card and then just bring back your Lotus or whatever you need. And that's why this is so important. In fact, you can also play just the 2 Dark Beckoning, but that's why I run this ratio. And before I continue, I just want to mention that my deck is 42 cards. I know a lot of Yubel players play a higher deck count because they don't want to see Yubel, right? They really don't want to see Yubel. But the way I've changed my deck is to focus entirely on Phantom. So right now, everyone that has money, and people on my locals have a lot of money, they're maining 6 Charmies and they're siding another 3. So if you open a Yubel, you want to see a Yubel and a 0/0 like Dark Beckoning Beast, you instantly make Phantom, and then Phantom insulates all your plays. You just take your 0/0 Dark Beckoning or your Lotus or whatever it is in your hand, and you always, the first thing you do with turn player priority, you make Phantom of Yubel, and it puts them in a pickle. Do they want to drop the Fua? Do they want to drop the Purulia? If they do, and sometimes they shotgun it, they just drop the Fua, and then I do nothing, I don't respond, and they drop the Fua again, and then I just let it resolve. Because if I open Fua, I can actually tribute Phantom, negate whatever it is on their turn, and then Fua them back, and then just use the Yubel bodies to live to the next turn. So it is highly important that you open a Yubel monster, and you make Phantom Yubel as soon as possible. My whole strategy hinges on the fact that we can make Phantom and we can abuse this card. So to continue, we run 3 Lotus, because Lotus is the best 1-card combo. We play 1 Yubel, 2 Spirit, 1 Terra Incarnate. So once again, I see a lot of people cutting Terra Incarnate. In fact, you might even be able to run another Spirit, because okay, mathematically and like the way you play the strategy is you don't need Terra Incarnate. You could really just do everything with 3 Yubel and it cut down on the bricks. But in my opinion, what makes this deck good is just surprising them with the Phantom. No one is expecting the Phantom. The Phantom is the best card in the strategy, and if you can just summon Phantom as the first thing you do, it puts them in a huge pickle, because they're like, oh, I have Fua and Purulia in my hand. Them opening 2 Charmies is not unreasonable. And so now they're in a weird position where if they Charmy you, you could just not do anything and sit on Phantom and pass back to them. Or you could just negate the Charmy and then proceed with your turn if your hand is really, really good. So this is the key part of the strategy. We want to see Yubel. This is the difference in my approach compared to the traditional approach of the deck. Next up, we play 2 Gruesome Grave Squirmer. This kind of ping-ponged around between 2 and 1. So back in the day, people would just play 1, right? Like the Team Samurai X1 days when he topped. They would just play 1 because the idea was you would build the unbreakable board and you would only ever need 1 because the game is over, right? You full combo them, the game is over. But this is just simply not the case anymore. They will Charmy you, they will go X Ryzeal, send Aggregator, activate Mitsurugi Ritual. They will break your board, and they will play on the crackback, especially if you're only able to build a half board under Droll. And that's why this card is extremely important, because you need to search one on the crackback to win. It's come up multiple times, and as times change, we are no longer playing we are still trying to keep the FTK combo alive, but the games are more grindy now. There's a lot more back and forth, especially with the Charmies and in-engine being able to break the boards now. So that's why we play 2 Gruesome, and I highly recommend you play 2 Gruesome Grey Squirmer. We play 1 Knightmare Pain. It's the 1 brick. Another reason why I play 3 Opening the Spirit Gates earlier is because if they pop it, you can always just add it back with Opening the Spirit Gates. Instead of 2 Gruesome, you could try running the spell that adds Gruesome back from the Banish Zone, but it's a bit risky because the spell doesn't do anything. If, let's say, you open Gruesome and they imperm your Lotus, you can still go full Fiendsmith combo or make a Muckraker. So that puts Gruesome much better than the Mature Chronicle. But Mature Chronicle is an option. You can try running it, but in my testing, I found this ratio to be the correct one. Next up, we play Chicken Game and Set Rotation. So Knightmare Throne is your best card. And with Set Rotation Chicken Game and the subsequent 1 Terraforming, 3 Knightmare Throne, it forms a really interesting resource loop where if you can hit them with the set rotation at the beginning of the turn, at the draw phase, you give them Chicken Game, you set yourself a Knightmare Throne. They're in a really weird position because if they have the Charmies, remember, we're always playing around the Charmies. The Charmies is what determines whether Yubel is good or bad. They need to shotgun it right away, and there are many times where I do this on someone on DB, and they will just try to Charmy me, or I do this in real life, I give them the Chicken Game, and I go main, and then they, for some reason, they'll try to Charmy me, and I'll say, hey, no, look, you got a Chicken Game. And if a lot of you are scared about giving your opponent the draw on the Chicken Game, remember, you can always Droll them, and remember, our game plan is going to be summon Iblee. No matter what they search, it doesn't matter. They cannot break this lock. The main best deck, which is Mitsurugi Ryzeal, cannot break this lock. Once again, I'll talk more about the Maliss matchup later. Another really cool thing is that with Terraforming and Chicken Game, let's say you open Throne and Terraforming. Well then, Terraforming can go into Chicken Game, you can draw a card, and then place the Throne on top. This way, this becomes a mini upstart package, so you almost never brick. I really like this ratio, and I highly recommend you play it. The best card in the deck is Throne, and we want to see it as often as possible. Oh, and the best extra deck card is obviously Phantom. Next up, we play the Fiendsmith package. This used to be super expensive, $80 each. Tracked is still $100-something, but this is all you need. If you do have Tracked, I would recommend you play it, because with Tracked, you can make Phantom first. Once again, you always make Phantom, and then you do your Fiendsmith combo, and you're insulated. So if they Fua you, or they Perulia you, you can play through one of those, or you can even beat the Droll. So I highly recommend, if you have Tracked, you can play the Tracked, but if you don't have Tracked, this is just fine, because all it means is you shotgun the Sanct, that's the first thing you do, and then you make Phantom. Many people are still caught off guard. They want to chain Fuwalos to Requiem. A lot of the good players will always wait and hold it because they want to guarantee the draw, because sometimes their hand is bricked. If you summon the Sanct and they Fuwalos you and you just pass on a minimum end board because they don't know what you're playing. You could be playing Fiendsmith Ryzeal. You could be playing Fiendsmith Rogue, or for whatever they know. So a lot of them will hold it. So this is not as good, but compared to $120, this is amazing. So you want to play that ratio. Next up, we played the mini Unchained package. We played 1 Unchained Soul Sharvara. Even though it's at 2, we only play 1, and 1 Escape of the Unchained. I will explain why we specifically run Escape of the Unchained. A lot of people swear by Chamber, but the way this deck plays, we must run Escape of the Unchained. I will explain that later in the combo section. Next up, we play the 1 of Ash. This is mostly a crossout target, and it stops the chummies. I just wanted to bump up the deck count a little bit, but really you could cut this. Or if you don't have one of the previous cards, you could put this in. Next up, we play 3 Droll. So the people at my locals are extremely wealthy, or rather they like to spend a lot of money on the game. The second they detected that the winds of change were happening, they went from Maliss to Ryzeal Mitsurugi, and this just cooks the strategy. If you have 6 Charmies, a lot of them don't like maining this, because if you Charmy them and you draw into Droll, it doesn't really do anything, and by that point they have the search they need. So I highly recommend you play 3 Droll, especially if you don't have 6 Chummies. Next up is the reprinted Fuwalos. Very, very good card. You should pick it up. It's only $15. Highly recommend you play it. If you don't have it, you could try running a Keshira package, but this card is kind of the new main deck stay. It's the new Ash Blossom. It's just that good. Highly, highly recommend you play it. Next up, we play the anti-chummy cards. We play Called By and Crossout. These are to stop Droll and start the chummies. Very, very good. We play the 1 talent, and we play 1 sales ban. I'll explain a bit in a second. So we have these 2 cards that are good, both going first and going seconds, because you can look at your hand going first and say, oh, I lose to Droll in this hand, and just sales ban the Droll and then make the Phantom, and then you're off to the races. You're going to FTK them with Iblee lock. And the main reason why we main deck these options is because we main deck triple thrust. So thrust is the best going first and going second option in the current meta. If you own Prulia, you could argue that 6 chummies with a Nibiru is the appropriate ratio. But if you do not want to spend $80 per copy, this is the second best option in my opinion. Because with Thrust, this card can be a going first card or a going second card. If they make Detonator and they pop something, I can search for the sales ban. Or if I make Phantom and they drop 2 chummies, I can actually thrust for the last card in the deck, Black Goat Laughs. So if you sit on Phantom and Black Goat Laughs, sometimes that's enough to just skip their entire turn. With the Thrust package, it is almost never dead with the way chummies have been running around. Thrust is extremely good, and I highly recommend you try this ratio. In fact, you could kind of forego the sales ban and just play 3 Thrust, 1 Talent for the Thrust, and 1 Black Goat Laughs. With this combination, you are always good going first and always good going second. Not to mention, you can always like these 2 options are good going first and going second. But obviously this one is better going first, then this one is better going second. Next up, we'll do the extra deck. So once again, the whole deck hinges on summoning Phantom first. You want to make Phantom of Yubel first, because if they do something, you can dump the Spirit and then summon the Yubel and you get another body. And if you have Throne, you can always shuffle back your Phantom of Yubel. This is extremely important. Remember, if you open Lotus and a Gruesome, and it doesn't matter, if you open Lotus and Dark Beckoning and a Yubel, always make Phantom. Yes, I know you can probably make an even crazier end board, but the name of the game is chummies. You want to play around the chummies. Next up, we play the 1 Gigantic Spright. This lets you summon out the Iblee from deck and then subsequently link summon. After that, we played the Unchained package, 1 Rage, 1 Yama, 1 Anguish, and the Anguish target of choice is the Lightless Shadow. The Lightless Shadow also doubles as a way to not get Fiend locked, because normally you would use Muckraker, which we do run. You can use Muckraker to, this card right here. Normally you use Muckraker to summon back the Lotus after you dump it with Aerial Eater, but if you have enough extenders, you can use Lightless Shadow so you're not Fiend locked. That way you can still make Varudras or make the Gigantic Spright later in your combo and still lock them. And don't forget, once you have Gigantic Spright and a Bow and Phantom, they have to attack Phantom, so they can't out the Iblee that way, and if they normal summon, you pop with the Lightless Shadow. Extremely, extremely good package. We play the 1 Varudras. It's a end board piece, very good. In simplified game states, if you make this, you pretty much win on the spot. We play the Fiendsmith package. 1 Requiem, 1 Sequence, 1 Moon, 1 Aerial Eater, 1 Necroquip, and 1 Caesar. Some of you might be wondering why I don't play Dies Irae. Dies Irae, he is good, but I found that I would never make him. I would always rather make the King, because the King Caesar is way better than Dies Irae right now. He stops Mitsurugi Ritual, he stops the Mouse monsters from summoning themselves back. He is way more important than Dies Irae, so I always make this first. And then Aerial Eater, I always make Aerial Eater to dump a Yubel body. So if I need engine, I make this, and if I don't need engine, I make this. You will almost never need to summon Dies Irae. Not to mention the fact that you can also shuffle Necroquip back with Aerial Eater to do your fusion summon. You can shuffle Necroquip back with Sequence to do your fusion summon of Aerial Eater, thus turning this back on for the Caesar package on the crackback. Technically, if the game goes long enough, I guess Dies Irae could come up, but since we only play 2 Engraver, it doesn't come up very often. Also, another reason for playing 2 Engraver 2 is that Lacrima competes with your normal summon, so now you don't have to worry about that. And the last card in the extra is Almirage. I highly recommend you play this. Essentially what it does is it turns your normal monster into a Link 1. It puts it in the grave for opening the Spirit Gates. So let's say because we run 3 opening and a Lotus, if we normal summon Lotus and they hit us with an Imperm, we can turn Lotus into Almirage, and then opening the Spirit gates it back, and then full combo anyway. We do not fear, there's so many hand traps we don't fear. We mainly just fear the Fuwas, which is, once again, I cannot hammer this home hard enough. You must summon Phantom first. I know, you're gonna look at your hand, you're gonna say, wow, I can do a crazy combo and it's over. But no, just make Phantom. Don't worry, we will be able to Iblee lock them with just 1-card Lotus combo, or just Fiendsmith. We should still be able to Iblee lock them, so don't worry about that. And next up, I will do the side deck. So for the side deck, we play 1 skill drain. They never see it coming. Essentially, if you go first, you always side this in. You flip it up. You flip it up on their Ice Riser or their Mitsurugi card. You play Knightmare Pain Control. This is still extremely potent. It's won me a couple games when I draw it. And whenever the opponent sees it, they're like, oh my god, for real? And I'm like, sorry, for real. Next up, we play because we main deck Thrust, we can play more targets. We play 1 Sanctum and 1 Mischief of the Gnomes. This essentially turn skips the entire Mitsurugi Ryziel line and pure Ryziel, and this turn skips Mouse because we're also playing the 3 Lancia, very important package. Once again, main decking Thrust gives you this flexibility. Highly recommend you try it if you do not own the Purulias. We play 1 Dark Ruler No More because it really screws up the Mitsurugi play. If you Dark Ruler No More and they have Mitsurugi Prayer and they hold it, since they can't take damage anymore and Mitsurugi Prayer requires them to take damage to then summon back, it's really funny where you could Dark Ruler them, they try to use Mitsurugi Prayer, and then I say, no, you can't summon back because you can't take any damage. So Dark Ruler No More, once again, you main deck 3 Thrust, so it's really easy to find. The other board breakers are 3 Evenly, and the Secret Spice, 1 Kurikara. So a lot of people have removed Kurikara because they think it's bad, but the way the new decks are, Evenly does nothing. Like, I watched a lot of YouTube videos and they're like, Evenly does nothing, you need to like double Evenly or triple Evenly, which is once again why I run 3 Evenly, which is true. But if you Evenly them and they chain Detonator, they chain whatever Mitsurugi thing to like resummon, that turns this on. I have actually won games where instead of Evenly, I did like Lotus combo or I did Fiendsmith and it forced out Negates, it forced out Detonator, and I just dropped the Kurikara Divine Incarnate. And even if I couldn't kill them, I can reborn the Detonator on my end phase and use Detonator to attach something, and that takes out their only Detonator from rotation. Or you can take out their only Mitsurugi Murakumo, because they only run 1 Mitsurugi Murakumo and 1 Detonator. We play the 1 Duster. This is for the back row hate. Once again, if you Duster them and you make them activate everything, especially on Malice player, if you open Duster in this clears the whole Malice board. And no deck profile of mine is ever complete without the 3 Dogwood. If you're rich and you have a lot of money, you can play, you can play Impulses, you can play Purulias, you can play Meowls. But the reason why this is so good, and I cannot stress how good this is after playing this in Pearly, I realized that I could side this in going first and going second. I thought I would only ever side this in as a time option, but that's not true, because let's say you combo off. You side this in going first. You combo off, you normal summon Lotus, and your combo takes about like maybe 7 minutes, right? You take 7 minutes, you pass it back to them, there's 5 minutes on the clock, but it is actually impossible for them to kill you, deal enough damage, and break your board under Dogwood. Effectively, you have blanked their whole turn. The game is literally over. I think it's only a matter of time before this card gets banned. And obviously, if you go second, you can dog with them in time, and it's impossible for them to deal enough damage with burn, and you just play and you pass it back. In fact, I played against two Kali Yuga Turbos, and this won me against them. They would Kali Yuga and they gave me 30,000 life points, and they passed it back to me. They Kali Yuga, and I looked at my hand and I passed it back. I did not slow play. I do not condone slow playing in any way. I just passed it back to them, and they did 16,000 worth of damage, and I had another 14,000 life points. So I just effectively just won by default, just because their combo took so long. Their combo took like 10 minutes. And then when they had to combo again to kill me, it took them another 6 minutes to think how they could do it, because usually people scoop once they see the Kali Yuga. Next up, we will do some combos, and we'll see you in a sec. Welcome back to the combo section. So I'm going to show you how to combo and summon out the Iblee on their turn. This is going to be the minimal combo. If you open an Engraver or if you open Throne, that essentially gives you 1 or 2 extra bodies that lets you go into Varudra. So this is the bare minimum. This is the only Lotus combo. So let's say we open a hand like this, and there's 2 other bricks. Maybe you open 2 other Fuwas. What is the first thing you do? You want to normal summon, your body is telling you to normal summon Dark Beckoning and do full combo. No, this is not correct. You take 2 bodies and you make Phantom. That is the absolute first thing you do. You will always make Phantom. So you make Phantom, you insulate yourself from a Chummy, and then you normal summon Lotus, or Droll in this case. It could be whatever, but you always, remember, always make Phantom first. Say that in your head, always make Phantom first. Never be greedy, just make Phantom because you're going to FTK them with this combo anyway. You'll normal summon Lotus, Lotus effect, summon out Spirit. Spirit effect lets you add Pain to hand, or set it to the field. You will activate Pain, Pain to pop Spirit, adding Gruesome to your hand. So Gruesome's in your hand. Spirit effect to summon out Yubel. And then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to go Gruesome to summon itself. You can pop, if you have already access to the Phantom, you can actually pop the Yubel and go for Terror Incarnate. And then from here, you can go for these two into Yama. Yama is going to add you a Soul of Rage to your hand. So now you have Rage in your hand. You're going to use the Gruesome's effect. At this point, if you don't have access to the Phantom, you can shuffle back the Lotus or the other Yubel bodies to make the Phantom. It is important you make the Phantom here, or you make the Phantom earlier if your hand is good enough. From here, you're going to banish the Gruesome, and then you're going to special summon back your Spirit of Yubel. You're going to Sharvara pop Spirit. It could also be regular Yubel. You can actually shuffle this back. It's not a big deal. To summon back Yubel. Once again, remember, always make Phantom. You can shuffle this back. It doesn't matter. This could be Terror Incarnate. It really doesn't matter. You have these two bodies now. Here you will make Rage. So now you have Rage. That will set Unchained Escape to your side of the field. From here, you will overlay into Gigantic Spright. Gigantic Spright, you will detach to summon out Knightmare, Corruptor, Iblee from deck. Here you are rank 2, link 2, level 2 locked. You will link these two to summon out Muckraker from the Underworld. This will trigger the Iblee to summon to your opponent's side of the field. So now they have Iblee and you have Muckraker. And then you will discard a random card in your hand. You'll just discard it because you will have other cards in your hand. You'll discard it to summon back the Rage. You never want to summon directly underneath the Muckraker. So what do we have here? So off of one Lotus, they are in the lock. So they have Iblee. If they try to attack you, they have to attack Phantom over here. And nothing will happen because they're both 0/0. If they normal summon, you will activate the Escape of the Unchained, targeting your Unchained Soul of Rage. And whatever it is they normal summon, let's say they're playing Yubel 2, you pop this, and you pop your Rage. You're going to go Chainlink 1, Soul Yama, Chainlink 2, Rage. Rage will add back Sharvara or Spirit of Yubel if you're scared of them killing you. Or it can even put back Samsara D Lotus in your hand. You can put back any one of these in your hand. But the important thing is that you will banish the Yama, which will summon back out the Rage. So what happened? You blanked their normal summon. They're still under the Iblee lock. And if they do find a way to out the Iblee lock, you can still Soul of Rage and link it away. I know what you're thinking right now. Okay, this beats the Mitsurugi player. This beats mostly everyone, except for Maliss. Maliss can turn Knightmare, Corruptor, Iblee into their Link 1, into Lingaribo. You cannot turn this into Almirage. It pretty much has to be Lingaribo. And if you're watching this in the Orcus format, whenever Orcus comes out, if you're watching this during the Orcus format, when Orcus comes out, they can't make the Orcus Link 1 with this either because it's not, it's a Knightmare card, not an Orcus card. So what do? If you are playing against Maliss, I found the best way to deal with them is just to play the classic Yubel board. So Maliss, unlike Mitsuraizel, so Mitsuraizel, what makes them so power creeped and so special is that their engine doubles as breakers, whereas the Maliss cards are more of a classical combo deck. I'm sure many a Maliss player can attest to essentially opening a bricked hand, normal summoning Chessy Cat, and then drawing into full combo. If you can just open with the Varudras play, or you just end, because you will, if you have the Yama and the Rage, you can actually, when you pop, you can just link these off into something else. And if you have any extender, you can pop with Sharvara, or you can pop with Gruesome Grave, or you can even keep the Yubel body on board. What I do is, if I have access to the throne, I just keep the Yubel body on board, and I don't get any value off of popping the Terror Incarnate, and then make Varudras. If you can make the classic combo of Phantom, Caesar, Varudras, even without Knightmare, Corruptor, Iblee, oh, and you'll probably have the Unchained guys as well, this end board still clears Malice completely. You do not need Iblee to clear Malice. You need Iblee for the Rogue matchup and specifically Mitsu Ryziel. Mitsu Ryziel, while this looks impervious, will die. This will die to Mitsu Ryziel. That's how good, if their hand is open good enough, you will lose to them. That's just how crazy Mitsu Ryziel is. So this is the important key piece of the combo. So to reiterate, what happened to Yubel? All we lost was Phantom. And this is my OTS Phantom. All we lost was Phantom. Phantom to 1, and the deck was unplayable. But with the new advent of Chummies, I believe Yubel, people are downplaying the deck and saying the deck sucks because of Chummies. No, you make Phantom first. And if you make Phantom first, sometimes that's enough to clear. If you open, like, let's say you do own the Purulias, I don't own Purulia, but if you open a way to make Phantom and they drop their Fua on you and you have your own Fua, or you open 2 Fuwaloses, you could actually sit on Phantom. And then if they do something, you tribute the Phantom for cost to negate it, and then you Fua them back. And they're in a really bad spot. They're in a really, really bad spot because your Phantom will float into regular Yubel, and it's going to be really hard for them to kill you, and you have the Fuwalos as well. A play I like to do sometimes when they Fuwalos me a little too late is I like to summon out Requiem using the so I'll make Phantom first, right? Let's say I make Phantom first. I'll make Phantom first, and then I'll make Requiem. You can make it off Sanct or whatever. Make sure you activate Sanct first. And I'll just sit on this. If you sit on this and a Fuwalos in hand, right? A Fuwalos in hand, a Phantom, and a Requiem, you can actually chain everything in one go. Negate their monster. Chain Requiem. You will have an empty board. You chain Fuwalos. These are now all 3 in the grave. And then when it resolves, you'll be able to draw. This will summon Engraver, and this will summon out Yubel, Phantom Yubel. So this is how I like to play the deck. This is still a combo version, as you can see. This is a funny, cute play you can do, but mostly you still want to Iblee lock, and you play against Mouse, you just do the classic Yubel end board. But if you made it this far in the video, if you can't guess already, I'm actually still trying to work on a lower to the ground, a super poly version of Yubel that still runs the Ultimate Knightmare and the Lovely Defender. I believe super poly is poised to be extremely good, especially with the Chummy cards. And so if you subscribe and you're a Yubel fan, hopefully I'll be able to show you guys that deck list, maybe during Justice Hunters format, because I'm still working on it. But as it is right now, I've seen incredible success with the Iblee lock. Because obviously, if you don't see, like, you don't have to make this, right? Like, it's a one of, if you don't open it, you just do a thing. And if it's a brick, it's a brick, right? But usually, at least in my locals, there's a lot of Mitsurugi Ryziel, and so you just play this and it locks them completely out of the game. And another thing is, you might think this is a brick, but this actually won me a game in time. Sorry, not in time, but essentially they broke my board. They actually outed the Iblee lock by normal summoning Engraver, but normal summoning Engraver made their hand really weak. And so it also turned off all the Ryziel monsters. Normal Summon Engraver really, really hurt them. But what I did was, after they broke my board, it took absolutely everything. We were both top decking. I top deck an Iblee, I top decked an Iblee. I was running 2 at the time. I normal summoned it, and I actually brought back Muckraker. Because when Iblee is normal summon, you can special summon a link monster such that it points to it. And once again, 2 bodies, they make Moon. I gave him a new Iblee. It was insane. So this card isn't even that bad to top deck. And if you open a Fiendsmith Engraver, where's my Fiendsmith Engraver? If you open an Engraver or a Sanct and you open Iblee, they usually want to save the Ash or the Chummy for when you actually go for the summon from deck. So what you can do is you can use Engraver and Iblee after you make Requiem and all that good stuff to make sequence. And this insulates you from Imperm, this insulates you from Nib. It's extremely potent. So once again, always make Phantom first. Once again, always make Phantom first. Always make Phantom first. You want to make Phantom first. Anyways, that's my deck profile. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.